Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Today we're going to take a look at how to ink blend on a background when you're using digital stamps. So what I did was I printed my images twice on my Neenah Solar White, and I sat down and I colored while I was watching TV my toasted marshmallows from Too Cute Ink. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the background. And I just took the largest of the stitched rectangle dies from My Favorite Things, and I'm going to cut my paper in half and then run it through my die cut machine to do that. And I'm going to do something in this video that I did in my last video too, which was I'm going to fussy cut. There are some instances where fussy cutting just is what you have to do no matter how much you don't like it. So I am going to die cut this out real quick for my background, and then we're going to ink blend on this background. I'm not going to color these images on here. I'm just using them for placement more than anything. And I use plain old washi tape. I've got tons of washi tape. I'm just using plain old washi tape. Sometimes if you have some washi tape that's like super sticky on the back, just stick it on your hand once or twice and it will be perfect to be able to put on your paper and not tear it. And of course you can use fun colors of washi tape and all that kind of stuff. My die cut machine is a Spellbinders Platinum 6 that I really like. So we're going to pull out the Teflon mat here and we're going to do some ink blending. I have black soot, blueprint sketched, squeezed lemonade, chipped sapphire, mowed lawn, and salty ocean. I don't have the ink blending tools for all of my colors. I just have the foam things stuck in the bottom of my mini ink cubes. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little glow around my fire here. And notice I'm going over my images. Oh, they're mowing outside. I'm sorry if you can hear it in the background. Then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a ground. I'm not actually going to draw a line or anything, but I am going to keep my fingerprints off of this because it will show up with regular distress inks. I am using Neenah Solar White. If you're having a hard time getting a good blend on Neenah Solar White cardstock, try using Strathmore's Bristol Smooth cardstock. It has a little bit slicker of a surface than the Neenah does, and you might get a better blend on it. I've never had any problems with my Neenah Solar White for ink blending with distress inks or even distress oxide inks. But if you do happen to have a problem with it, it could also be that you're not using enough ink. So make sure that you have a pile of ink and make sure that you, I'm wiping the extra ink off with my microfiber cloth there, just so I don't get any green in my sky. A green sky would not be the prettiest thing in the world because, oh yeah, then a tornado would be coming. So I'm going to use the 3 blues and the black soot to build my sky in really dark. And I don't know if you really noticed or not, but when I colored in my toasted marshmallows, I did them really dark. On a white background, it looks super dark. But once I actually get them on my colored background here, my ink blended background, they don't look so dark anymore. So keep that in mind when you're doing dark ink blended backgrounds, to make sure that your images, your focal point of your card, is going to have enough oomph to hold up to that bright background or that really dark background, that intense color. And all I'm doing here is I started in the middle with some salty ocean, and then I'm going to some blueprint sketch, and I'm going kind of out where the middle is the lightest and then the edges are going to be the darkest. So, and they did not start mowing until I started talking. So be sure that when you're doing this, to keep inky fingerprints from getting on there, just grab a post-it note and stick it on your hand, because it will show up with these super dark colors. I had to re-ink, and I kept this in here because it is a mini ink cube, and I really wanted you to see how I inked up this little mini ink cube on purpose. So Distress inks come in the little glass bottles with the droppers on them, and you literally just drop the ink in there, and my Chip Sapphire ink pad was seriously dry. It had started getting fuzzy looking. So I put ink all over the top of it, and I let that absorb down in there for a second. But then I also picked up the ink cube and I put ink on the side of it too, because I got to looking at it and it just looks so dry, because Chip Sapphire is probably one of my favorite colors for skies, and I've done a lot of skies. But I put the ink on the side of the ink cube as on the foam pad as well. And I'm sorry I did not get that in there, but I did want to talk about it while I was doing it, because I knew that's what I was doing. I'm so sorry that I did not include that in the video. So I did that, and I let it absorb in there for just a minute. It doesn't take very long. I mean, like 10-15 seconds, and it absorbs down into the pad, and you can immediately use it. If your ink pad is seriously dry, what you can do is actually put a drop of that ink over there on your Teflon mat, and put it in your sponge, and then sponge off, do the off like I'm doing there, and you'll be able to do that as well. I don't recommend that, because that's a lot of ink. That's a lot of intense color right there concentrated in one space. But if that's what you need to do because you're in a hurry, then go for it. But that lasted, it took me about 1.5 minutes to do it, and it was absorbed in there, and I put extra ink in that little ink pad. So just, if your ink pads start getting weird looking on you, it might be because they're dry. Mine looked seriously fuzzy. It started looking white on the edges. I had used this bad boy. So I inked it up, and then I went in and did the edges of my sky with a little bit of black. I did not take that down into the grass. I just did the edges of the sky, the very, 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 very edges of it, to bring in a little bit more of that intense color. Wipe everything up, make sure that you have no color left on there, because you will get it all over your fingers. Trust me. So the next thing that I did was I went ahead and I had some perfect pearls. I found this, you can make your own perfect pearls, but I actually found this in Joann's, I think, a couple months ago. It's probably been a little over a year, I guess. And it was already pre-made in the spray bottle. So what I'm going to do in the future is continue to use that spray bottle. I'll just make my own in the spray bottle. And I sprayed some on my mat and took a paintbrush and flicked it all over everything, because I wanted that sparkle in the background. I wanted it to look like big stars, little stars, all kinds of stars. Wipe everything up, because I'll get that all over the place too. And make sure that everything is dry before you do anything else with that. I did not put just clear water on the background. I wanted just the stars on it. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to get everything cleaned up and make sure that all of my ink pads are in the bottoms of the correct ink cubes. I'm terrible about not putting the right ones in the right place. That's why I always just go ahead and do it, and it's done. And then what I'm going to do is fussy cut. And so these images have the little tassels on the ends of the scarf, and also the itty bitty feet. Cut them off. They're on the background. You're not going to notice it. It actually looks super cute and gives it some dimension. I don't add any foam tape or anything behind these, but what I do is I cut these little images out that I colored. See how dark they look setting against that white? Oh, you can see my TARDIS on my card, on my phone over there. So I cut out the log and the little marshmallows and fussy cut these out. And don't forget, when you fussy cut, to grab a black marker, that's not a Copic, and put it on the edges. If you have problems or you're worried about that you're going to mark the front of your stamp, put it face down on a piece of scrap paper, and draw around the edges of it. It's the best way in the world to keep from marking up the front of your images. I've been doing this for a long time as far as edging stuff. So I just pick it up, and I have it's a Zig marker, and it's really, really old that I use. But Memento, the black ink that you use for Copic markers, they also make a black marker. So I will link to that if I can find it over on Amazon or on scrapbook.com. I will link to that so that you can see that kind of marker, and you can use that to edge your images in so they look crisp and you can't tell if you've messed anything up. One thing when you're fussy cutting, be sure that you're holding your scissors fairly straight and that you're turning the paper with your non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, I'm cutting with my right hand, and I'm turning the paper with my scissors. With my hand, turning my paper with my left hand. So I sometimes do turn my scissors just to be able to get down in somewhere, but for the most part, I'm turning the paper with my left hand. It is something that you do have to get used to doing, and it takes a little bit of practice. And the reason that I don't like fussy cutting is because it kills my wrist on my right hand. I have a touch of carpal tunnel, and it just kills my wrist. But when it's needed, you gotta do it. So just notice how dark the one that I'm cutting now looks in comparison to the one that's sitting on the background. It is such a night and day difference. It absolutely astounds me every single time. So I cut both of these out. I'm sorry it's kind of mostly off the screen and you're just listening to me talk a whole lot here. But I also wanted to, this one is really obvious that I cut the legs off of it. And I also cut the thing for the earmuffs or earphones, whichever you wanted to color those as. I cut that off too because it's on the background. So the little tuft on the hat, the little fringe on the scarves, the little legs, and on both of them, you can cut that off when you're going to do something like this because it's going to actually give the card a little bit more dimension, and it's not going to look like you piecemealed something, if that makes any sense. It actually gives it some dimension because it actually makes the body part of the marshmallow, I'm talking with my hands now, by the way, the body part of the marshmallow, it actually makes it pop just a little tiny bit. I don't have anything but paper on adhesive on paper on this card. There's no dimensional adhesive, there's nothing like that. In total time for this card, it probably took me about an hour to make the entire thing, including coloring and doing the ink background and that kind of thing. And here's the black marker, just literally edge all the way around and make sure that you get all the little nooks and crannies. I would recommend that you buy a dual tip pen so that if you have something that's on the front of the card, like that's a little tiny area that you couldn't really cut, you can color it in with the fine tip on there. So I do recommend that. And for this card, I'm going to use a Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. It's a little bit, it's an 80-pound paper, and it's not quite craft colored. It's a weird tan Desert Storm color, but I really like it instead of using craft paper because of the texture of it. The craft paper is, traditional craft paper is really, really rough, and for a card base, that's not exactly what I wanted unless I was going for something rustic. So I did all of this, and I'm going to put the card together just with some, I believe some glue and some strong dry adhesive. The dry adhesive that I'm using is actually from Stampin' Up, but it's the same thing as ATG glue, the tape runner. It's the same thing as that super sticky stuff. So did all of that I said for the 5th time now, sorry. The people outside mowing just threw me off really, really bad. Anyway, I realized that I forgot to edge my fire. I put it down and I was like, ah, crap, I didn't do my fire. So I pull it back up and I'll edge my fire really quick. Did do that. So other thing I really wanted to talk about real quick while we're doing the end of this is check out my blog over at jillcameroncreations.com. I have a newsletter that you can sign up for that I talk about crafty tips in. Sometimes I'll do sales emails if you're interested in that. And I have some freebies over on my website too if you have a silhouette. I have some big scripty words over there that are a free resource. And I have a couple of tutorials as well for keeping track of your crafty stash, and show you how to do that. And that's at the very top. As soon as you go to jillcameroncreations.com, you can sign up to receive that in my free resource library as well. So definitely go over there, sign up for my newsletter, and sign up to get that free resource so you can keep track of your crafty stash. I hate walking into a store and going, I wonder if I have this. I'm able to walk in there and look on my phone and tell whether I already have that stamp set or not. Or while I'm shopping online, I can do the exact same thing. I have it on my computer, have it on my phone, and I'm just able to keep track of things and actually sort through and see what sentiments I have and all that kind of stuff. So definitely check that out over on my blog, jillcameroncreations.com. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel and give me a thumbs up, leave me comments, leave me love, and I will definitely leave the love back for you. I am a small YouTube channel, and YouTube changed their thing not too long ago. It's been about a year ago, I guess, that in order to be recommended for video, I'm not talking about making any money or anything, just their recommendations in videos, you have to start with 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can get those numbers up and be recommended, so other crafty folks can see my videos and check me out. And I can see other people's videos as well, because I'm not the only one that's having to deal with this issue over on YouTube. So, do y'all know about a glaze pen? We're going to go back to the card now. Glaze pen. It is an amazing thing. It puts shine on stuff, and it's Glaze. And it puts shine on stuff. It doesn't necessarily, it's not as thick as like, glossy accents, but it has a really fine point on it, so you can actually put that over like eyes and that kind of thing, which is what I did on here, and it makes them pop. It's amazing. So check out a glaze pen. I'll link to that also over on my blog post for this card. So we're gonna do, I don't know why I stuck it in long ways, I guess because I'm used to doing top fold cards, but we're gonna do a traditional fold card here and do a landscape. And the sentiment that I use on this card is from Lawn Fawn, and it's the joy, and I'll link to it over on my blog too, in the description over there, in the products list, because I cannot remember what the name. Winter Village, there it was. There you go. In the Winter Village stamp set, it's like a smoke coming out of the house that says joy. So I thought that was kind of fitting for this little card, because they have joy on their face. They are just so stinking cute. Absolutely love these little guys. I love marshmallows. Okay, I like Rice Krispie treats, and that's about the only marshmallow I eat, but still. And oh, and s'mores. I forget about s'mores. Oh, sorry, can't talk about food because I'll just get all kinds of sidetracked on food. Anyway, I'm using Detail White embossing powder, and this is actually Stampin' Up's Detail White embossing powder, but it's the same thing as Hero Arts. So use your embossing anti-static powder tool and use your coffee filters to filter everything back into your original container. Use your MISTI for your placement. All good. All good things. Anti-static powder tool, microfiber cloth, and it wipes away. Or you can use the heel of your hand. Either one. So I'm going to use some super fantastic sticky glue here, or adhesive here, and put that on my card front, and it's all finished up. For more details, head over to my blog, jillcameroncreations.com. And if you have any questions or need anything, let me know. And my mom called, so I had to cut the video short. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great day.